Hello lovely people, how are you all doing today? I hope you're well. You can tell I'm well. I'm really excited because my favourite day of the year, well one of them, has arrived. And you know from the title card that it's treats for a tenner day, woo! Oh my goodness, I so look forward to this day each year. Now, I was thinking there's new people to the channel, so I'll just briefly tell you about treats for a tenner because this is my 4th year doing it and it has definitely become a tradition. It's kind of part of my Christmas, but it could be any day of the year, frankly. The whole premise is that, you know, I'm super frugal. I'm beyond frugal. That's why the playlist is called Beyond Frugal. I only buy, throughout the whole year, I'm very strict. I only buy what I absolutely need. I pay my bills, I buy bits of food, occasionally a bit of clothing, but that's pretty much it. I always have that mantra when I'm shopping of, do I really need it? And if I don't really need it, I don't have it. But on this one day of the year, my treats for a tenner day, that all goes out of the window. I don't have to justify any of my spending today. When justify it to myself, I mean, of course. I can literally look at something and think, yeah, I want that, and I'm going to jolly well have it, so long as it's either 10 quid or less. Brilliant. On a kind of slightly more serious note, I think it's really important, this whole, this idea of treats and treating, because, you know, to go without all the time, and I know there are people out there who go without all the time, it can be pretty darned miserable and it can mess with your head and da-da-da. So it's really important every now and again, no matter how small, no matter how insignificant it might seem to other people, to have a little treat. Yay! I'm gonna have a big treat today. Anyway, so for 10 quid, so a couple of things on 10 quid just before we go out. I did look, because this started in 2020. I think we were in our second lockdown, weren't we? And I checked, because we've had quite a bit of inflation. I wanted to see if I should I be allowing myself a bit more than a tenner by now? So I went onto an inflation index thing today to keep up with what I did. This is the 4th time, it's 3 years ago, 2020. To keep up, I should be giving myself £12. 20% inflation, goodness me. However, treats for a 12er doesn't have the same ring, does it? So I'm sticking with 10 quid. So it may be that I get a bit less than previously. I don't know. It doesn't matter. All that matters is I go out, I have fun, I have a little look around. Actually, it's quite difficult sometimes to just spend willy-nilly, because when 365 days of the year, except leap years, when I kind of justify everything, it's quite hard to let go of that kind of habit and just see something and think, yeah, I want it, I'm going to have it. So I might shop around first, I might go and have a little browse, and then come, if I see something, think, well, I might come back for it. I don't know, we'll see how it goes. Also, just to say, for viewers around the world, I'm just going to, I haven't done the translations of the money for every country, but the 3 countries where I know outside of the UK I have most viewers. So in the US, my 10 quid, that's the equivalent of your, excuse me, I'm so excited. That's the equivalent in America of $12.50. In Canada, it's the equivalent of $16.50. And in Australia, it's the equivalent of $18.50. So you can have those amounts in your mind and think, oh, what would I do with $12.50 in America, $16.50 in Canada, or $18.50 in Australia? But for everyone in the UK, let's see how far I can stretch my tenner. Let's see how much fun I can give myself for what for a lot of people actually isn't a lot of money, is it? But for some of us, it is a lot of money. Anyway, so I'm going to go out and do all my bits now. I think I'll probably be out for a couple of hours. So in the meantime, I'm going to step you all back to last night when I went out on my high street to just have a look at the lights and the shop windows, and bumped into a few friends along the way. I thought I'd be out for half an hour. I ended up being out there for 2 hours. I was well wrapped up. A couple of my friends who are also flat buying, you know what, I'll tell you about that another day. There's a couple of friends who are in a similar position to me in terms of the flat hunting. I'll catch you up on that another day. Anyway, never mind all that. Let's pop back to last night. Let's go and have a walk down my high street, have a little mooch with the lights in the shop windows. Mood a bit. It certainly did me when I was walking up and down. Oh, lovely. I'm back. I've done so well. I have got a whole bag full of goodies. Look at my bag, by the way. Hang on a sec. It's my Swanage bag. A friend of mine gave this to me. Was it a couple of years ago, 2021? She loves Swanage too, so she went down and stayed for a few days and knew that I was a bit sad because I hadn't been able to get down for a while, 2019, because then we had COVID. Anyway, so she brought the bag back for me. How lovely. But never mind that. I've done so well. So let's dive in. Crinkle, crinkle. Where shall we start? And I've just made a note of all my prices. So, first of all, it's got to be, ooh, crunch, 4 really big fat satsumas for £1 from my local greengrocer. Aren't they beautiful? You get that smell moist. I'm going to just scrape the surface with my nail. Oh my goodness. That smell. That's instant Christmas, isn't it? So I don't buy a lot of fruit. I always think of fruit as, it's like sweeties, pudding. It's a bit of a treat, isn't it? So they will be thoroughly enjoyed. So like I said, I got 4 for £1. Fantastic. Oh, that smell. It is instant Christmas, that smell, isn't it? What else? This was a last minute thing because I had a bit of change. I've come back actually. I've spent a total of £9.75. So I've come back with 25p change. That can go in my penny jar. My total was up to £9.30 and I suddenly thought, oh, I know. Let's have some more crumpets at 45p. Lidl. Yum, yum, yum. So, yeah, it's a no-brainer, isn't it? Now, bearing the crumpets in mind, I'm blaming this squarely on you naughty people. I can't remember who it was that mentioned it, sorry. Black cherry jam was mentioned. And then I mentioned it in my Hug video and folks said, oh, Lidl sell it, Aldi sell it. So there's not an Aldi near me. I'd have to take a bus, so I never go to the Aldi. I checked in Lidl. They didn't have any. I don't know if my branch is particularly small or just particularly rubbish. They didn't have any. So I went to my health food shop and I got some Sandafor black cherry jam. I can't wait. So it sells at £2.89, but of course with my discount that was £2.60. It's a lovely, lovely company. They use, instead of sugar, they don't use sugar, they use grape and date, concentrates from grape and date. So the entire thing is 100% fruit. I can't wait. Now, am I going to have it on the crumpets? I'm not sure. I think I'm going to have to try it on the crumpets, aren't I? Because that's that's where this has come from in the first place, from you mentioning having it on Crumpets. I will certainly, though, be having it on toast. Crunchy toast, slathered in butter. I didn't go for any Lurpak in the end, it's too expensive. But yeah, toast with butter and some black cherry jam. I was thinking about filming that, but honestly, I think I'm going to be making too many noises of so I won't do that. But yeah, black cherry. So that's the most expensive thing I've bought with my treats for a tenner at £2.60. Normally I'd think £2.60 for jam. Ooh, can't justify that. Well, you know what? When it's treats for a tenner, you can have whatever you blooming well want. Yay! So food bits. So some non-food stuff. I really wanted, remember the other day when I was mentioning about that Shakespeare that I'd seen on TV? I really wanted to find some Shakespeare. And so I've been in all the charity shops, looked at all the DVDs, and I couldn't find any Shakespeare, but I did want to have a DVD, something to watch over Christmas. So I opted for Far from the Madding Crowd. You can see it cost £1. Far from the Madding Crowd. I love Thomas Hardy, absolutely adore Thomas Hardy. Read his stuff years ago, donkeys years ago. I think I probably started reading Hardy when I was about 15. I'm pretty sure I read Tess. I think Tess might have been on the O-level syllabus that year. Fell in love with Hardy straight away. And of course, with that family connection with Dorset. So when I was in Swanage this time, I think it was on one of the days when I was sitting on the beach, just doing nothing, just letting my mind go wherever. And I did think, maybe it's time to reread Hardy. There aren't many books that I would reread. Life's too short, there are too many books, but Hardy, I think I would like to read again. So then when I saw this, I thought, you know what, if I can't have Shakespeare, I'll have some Thomas Hardy. I'm not normally one for watching films of books that I love, but yeah, it was there, and I just thought, what the heck, it's treats for a tenner. So I haven't seen this version. Tom Sturridge, Michael Sheen, Matthias Schoenaerts and Carey Mulligan. I'm guessing some of you may have seen it. Please don't give it away. I know I know the ending. But yeah, is it Bathsheba? I'm sure it's Bathsheba Everdeen, one of the great fictional names of all time. Can't wait. This is what I'm picturing now, is curling up for a couple of hours, get my quilt on, pop the DVD on, have a plate of toast with black cherry, that's the whole point, black cherry jam, maybe a crumpet with black cherry jam, then I can have my satsuma later. I mean, I'm getting a visceral sensation even as I talk about it. Can't wait. Right, so that was £1. And then of course I looked at the bookshelves. I've come away with quite a few books actually. So I normally read non-fiction. For whatever reason, excuse me, quick glog. For whatever reason, non-fiction is always more expensive than fiction in the charity shops. It's quite often like a paperback will be £3, £4, £5. Fiction though, oh my gosh, I got some bargains. So I've got a paperback and it was 50p. I can't remember the last time I paid 50p for a book. And again, this is a proper treats for a tenner job, because this is not something I would normally buy. I'd think, it's a bit too much of a risk. Do I really need to buy it? It's treats for a tenner. Have what you want. So this one came out. Let me just quickly show you. And obviously, when I've read them, I'll let you know what I think. So it came out in paperback in 2021. So for once, I'm not decades late to the party. It's called The Animals at Lockwood Manor by Jane Healy. The premise is, I'll just say this quite quickly, I'll go into more detail once I've read it and I can review it for you. It's August 1939 and the contents of London's museums are being evacuated for safekeeping during the war. And the central character, she's put in charge of taking the Natural History Museum's collection. She's in charge of the mammal collection. And all the exhibits are taken to somewhere called Lockwood Manor, where they will stay for the duration of the war. She soon realises, though, that perhaps London would have been safer. Da, da, da. There's a couple of sort of review quotes on the back. An eerie puzzle box of a book. Eerie. But this is the one that got me and made me think, you know what, 50p, I'm having it. A vivid, beautiful but haunting story with a thread of darkness running through it. I was thoroughly engrossed. That sounds like I'm just trying to, because it's all in gold lettering. That sounds like a really fab winter curl-up book, doesn't it? Darkness, eerie, spooky, with another crumpet with some jam. I've only got 6 crumpets. So yeah, I'm really intrigued to try it. And like I said, I so rarely read fiction that when I do read fiction, it feels like, oh, it's a bit of a holiday, because usually, you know, the pages turn themselves almost, don't they? I like the combination of the Natural History Museum. It's a museum I've spent hours and hours and hours in. The time period, that interests me. But what did it say? A dark thread. A thread of darkness running through it. I like a bit of dark. Then I got another fiction. This time, it was £1 because it's hardback. Now, again, hardback non-fiction, 4, 5, 6, 7 quid. So to get this for £1, I was chuffed. I think you're going to think this is right up my street. I'm going to have to read who it's by because it's a Japanese writer and that doesn't trip off my tongue naturally. It's Sosuke Natsukawa and the book is called The Cat Who Saved Books. I'm not a cat person, I'm a dog person, but saving books. There's a little quote from the book on the back. It says, Grandpa used to say it all the time, books have tremendous power. But what is that power really? So the premise is, you can have a look at the cover while I read the little synopsis. Natsuki Books was a tiny second-hand bookshop on the edge of town. Inside, towering shelves reached to the ceiling, everyone crammed full of wonderful books. Rintaro Natsuki loved this space that his grandfather had created. He spent many happy hours there, reading whatever he liked. It was the perfect refuge for a boy who tended to be something of a recluse. Then the grandfather dies, the grandson is left devastated and alone, and it seems he'll have to close the shop. Then a talking tabby cat called Tiger appears and asks Rintaro for help. The cat needs a book lover to join him on a mission. This odd couple will go on 3 magical adventures to save books from people who have imprisoned, mistreated and betrayed them. It goes on. Well, I mean, come on, that's got my name written all over it, hasn't it? And for £1, and it's a nice little book. It's got a lovely feel to it. You know, for me, books are always so much more than just the words. The words obviously are the main thing, but things like the cover art, how they feel in my hand, how they smell. I've bought this second hand, but it's obviously new and never been read. It's in lovely condition. There's that mental connection, there's that visceral connection. You'll never get me on a Kindle. How gorgeous. I can't wait. So I can't wait, excuse me, I can't wait to read these. Again, I think something a bit magical, a talking cat and a bookshop. Hello. Yeah, I can't wait to read them and then tell you what I thought. Now, fishing into the bottom of my bag, that was £1. Whilst reading a book, I need a drink, don't I? So I have bought myself, and this cost 35p. I bought a sachet of hot chocolate. Yay! I looked at the boxes of them and they were all like, I can't remember how much they are now. They were all like sort of £2-3 or whatever. And do you remember what I was saying just before I went out about how sometimes it can be really hard to spend money when you're used to not spending it? And I looked, I thought, that's too much. I can't spend that. That's a best part of my tenner gone. Then I saw the little sachets sold individually for 35p and I thought, I'm having it. So now I can picture myself, I'm either going to be watching my Thomas Hardy DVD or curled up with one of my books, Crumpets, jam, satsumas, a mug of hot chocolate. Honestly, the amount of pleasure you can get from £10, it's ridiculous. If I went out to meet friends at the pub, £10 wouldn't even get me 2 pints. Have a go yourself, have a go. I mean, I know it's getting late in the year now, but you know, maybe in the new year, if you're feeling a bit down with that letdown from Christmas, I don't mean that Christmas was a letdown, but that time after Christmas, as we go into January, it's another dark month, a cold month, and I know it's a time when a lot of people feel really low. How about challenging yourself to treats for a tenner, to not only cheer yourself up in the moment of doing the quest, let's make it a quest to spend £10 on fun, but then I'm going to have that fun for days on end because of books and things to watch. Okay, the food won't last. Well, I was going to say the food won't last long. That will last me through the winter now. But the books, the pleasure, the time pleasure will go on for days and days and days. So yeah, give yourself a little treats for a tenner quest challenge, maybe in the new year. Right, going it. And then I don't normally do this, but I've been low on my balm and I'd run out of my calendula oil and calendula balm. I've run out of the almond oil that I macerate with, so I've had to order some because I can buy almond oil locally, but only like 100 mils at a time, and it's fiercely expensive in 100 mils, so I have to order it in. And then I saw this and I thought it was in a charity shop for 50p. Can you see what it's called? What is it called? It's hand cream. It's called By the Sea. So I've got to give that a go. It's in one of their 50p baskets, and I did check. And you see the seal is still on the end. Let's have that off and have a little smell. Hang on a sec. Smell. Have a smell. How many of you just leaned forward to have a smell? That's lovely. It's a very delicate smell. That's definitely a treat because normally I make my own creams and oils and things. What's it got in it? Seaweed extracts. That's pretty much what it says. But yeah, 50p for a little hand cream. That's definitely a treat because I haven't had to make it. I haven't had to grow the flowers. I haven't had to pick the flowers and process the whole. It takes weeks, months. Instant. It is really, it's lovely. It's hard to describe. It actually does smell like fresh air and seaweed, but really the seaweed is really mild. How lovely. 50p. I don't know if you see this in your charity shops, but I often see it in mine. That so often they'll have quite a collection of sort of boxed, I think it's probably gift sets, you know, when someone gets given a gift and it's, say, hand creams or whatever, and they think, it's not really me, I don't really like it, they'll give it to a charity shop. So they'll often have these as, well, you can see it had the seal on it, things still in the box, good as new, but 50p, I mean, that's probably more like £3.50, £4 if I bought it new. Lovely. Oh, so now we get into the nostalgia bit of my bag. There are 3 items left. earlier in the year I mentioned how, excuse me, I'd kind of kept it quiet from virtually everybody about my sister, what my sister was going through, just keeping it to myself. I had told a couple of really, good close friends, but most folk around here I hadn't told. And there was a day in the garden when it just all got too much. It was before she'd died, but it had all got too much. I was going backwards and forwards anyway. And I was crying in the garden. And that's okay. It's okay to cry in one's garden. But I think I'd had enough for that day, so I was packing up, making my way home. And then my lovely friend Gary spotted me coming down the central path and he went, "Oh, hey." So he came up from his garden path to say hi, took one look at my face and he said, "Oh my goodness, what's wrong?" And I couldn't keep it in anymore, and I burst into tears, and I told him, my sister's really, really ill, she's dying, and it was just awful. But he's such a lovely friend, and he immediately just pulled me down to one of his garden seats, sat me down and said, "Just tell me everything." Gave me loads of hugs and cuddles. It was really lovely. And then he said to me, "What can I do to help?" And I said, "There's nothing anyone can do, but thanks for, actually, it's a real help just to have someone I can talk to and I can cry with. You're not going to judge me. You're not going to think I'm silly. You're not going to tell me to wipe my tears and pull my socks up or anything like that. So you've done the best thing you can do." And he said, it was at that point he said, "If I had my last Rollo, I'd give it to you right now." Such a sweet thing to say. Rollos have been in my mind ever since. And all our little corner shops and sweet shops, none of them sell Rollos. I discovered, though, somewhere that does. So that's what I was talking about. And it was that wonderful ad campaign whereby these sweeties, that's what it looks. I'll show you what one looks like for those who don't know. But the ad campaign, it was very clever because it's basically saying that Rollos are so fabulous, so gorgeous, you're not going to want to share them with anyone. You're certainly, if you're down to your last one in the packet, you are not going to want to give that away unless it's to someone that you really, really love. Then you'll give them your last Rollo. So that was why it was such a wonderful, beautiful comment from Gary. So that's what it looks like. I'll bite it in half. I wasn't supposed to be starting these today. I'm sorry, excuse me. Can you see inside it's like caramel? I suddenly felt my cheeks are flushing. I'm getting warm now. I've come back in. So I was delighted to find the Rollos at, it's really made me salivate, 60p, 60p for I don't buy bars of chocolate or packets of sweets, so I thought that seemed okay in terms of price. I half expected it to be £1. Rollo's nostalgia. Now getting that other half of Rollo's winking at me. Getting really nostalgic. Something I always wanted when I was a kid. Wanted for Christmas and never got, much like last year. Do you remember when I bought for myself a selection box because I'd never had one as a kid and was always jealous of friends who did. This is something else I never had and was always jealous about. It was on offer at £1.25, otherwise I think they're normally £1.65. I bought myself one of the big tubes of Smarties. Friends of mine when I was little, they'd get something like this in their stockings. It's like, oh, rich kids, I hate you. But yeah, Smarties, now they've replaced, it always used to be a plastic top with a letter on it. So you'd kind of pop the top off and it had a letter on it and collect them and you could make up words or what have you. But they're now completely paper, which is great. I wonder if there's anything written on the inside though. I wonder if there's a letter written under there. But yeah, Smarties. Oh my goodness. How many years since I've had Smarties? I don't know. But yeah, the treats just keep coming. I mean, I've got quite a lot of junk, haven't I? Rollo, Smarties, instant chocolate. But it's only once a year, it's fine. Now, my last... So, I've ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've ended up with 11 items for £9.75. That's crazy. This was crazy cheap. The next item was also 50 pence. I might get emotional. Now, talking about Thomas Hardy and rereading, I've got a book here that I'm going to reread. I don't know what's prompted it. I just saw it and I thought I have to have it. I last read this book about 50 years ago. I got for myself, and I know there's going to be a gazillion people don't watch my channel. There are going to be so many of you who instantly recognise the cover art on this book. Again, that's why I love books, actual books, cover art. I have got for myself, for a little cosy read over Christmas, a cosy reread, I mean, come on, why wouldn't you? Stig of the Dump by Clive King. Like I said, I probably read this when I was 6 or 7. What I love, though, is it's the Edward Ardisoni illustrations. I love Edward Ardisoni. In fact, when I grabbed this off the shelf, I had a whoosh, a massive memory whoosh, which I'm going to tell you about in a different video because it's going to go on one. But yeah, the combination of Edward Ardisoni's illustrations, but also that idea of finding a secret world and a secret person inhabiting it when you're a kid, that idea of finding this person and having your own secret friend. Oh, glorious. Glorious. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Yeah, I mean, what more can I say? It's kind of a mad thing to do. It's a kid's book. On the back, so for those who don't know, perhaps in countries outside of the UK, this is the story. Everybody had told Barney not to play too near the edge of the chalk pit. But today was one of those grey days when there was nothing to do and nowhere to go, except to the chalk pit, the dump. And so Barney lands in a cave in the middle of a rubbish dump, and that's where he meets Stig. Stig of the Dump, a caveman. I don't know what to read first. I'm spoiled. I feel utterly spoiled, truly. Yeah, this is self-spoiling. It kind of, on the one hand, feels a bit naughty, but it's actually, it was just £10. And if you spread that over the cost of the year, it's barely 80p a month. And actually, I worked out, because it's 11 items, this works out at 88 pence an item on average. Think of that, 88 pence a month. It's not even that, is it? Because it's 12 months in the year, not 11. Be more like 80p, 90, yeah, it's about 80 pence. If you put aside 80 pence a month, and then give yourself a treats day. It's total self-indulgence. It's total frippery. It's totally blimmin' wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I can't wait. I don't know where to go first. I feel that my senses are being assaulted. Which book to read first? Which sweet treat to eat first? I want them all. I want to eat everything right now. I'm not going to. I'll make myself sick. Anyway, right, so there we go. Lovely friends, that's treats for a tenner for 2023. I have to think then, 2023. Yeah, it's been an absolute blast. I've loved today. I loved popping out last night and seeing so many friends out also. Just promenading. And I've got some really, really, really special things to enjoy for the next never mind few days, because the books are in there as well, the next couple of weeks or so. Simple, fabulous pleasures. All right, my lovelies, before I start really waxing, I am going to bid you happy perambulating on your high streets, and if you do decide to have a little treats for a tenner quest, yeah, let me know how you get on. I'd love it. Let's all do it. And also we're supporting charities, we're supporting local businesses while we're doing it. It's not a lot, but it's a little bit of support, isn't it? So yeah, look, the bottom line is this: get out there, enjoy yourselves. It doesn't have to be a massive, massive thing to give a lot of pleasure. So until the next one, cheerio.